Hello, welcome to the frozen tundra of Upper Michigan. My name is Michael, and I'm introducing potentially a series of concept videos dealing with music. I do not want to play guitar or sing for you in these videos, and I want them to be very short and just introduce 1 to 3 concepts per video. And this first one, I'm just trying to gauge interest and see if these charts that I've made throughout the years help anybody else. Very basic concepts that many of you may already have a full grasp of, but I'm talking about major keys. I'm talking about Ionian mode at this point, and we're going to just deal with the key of C major, the key that has no black keys, the key that is, even though there's nothing very advanced about understanding the 12-tone system and all of that in its, I guess, in its basis form, it is a lot of material, a lot of memorization. So just to get all that out of the way, you definitely don't need to be overwhelmed by it. It's just a system of very simple concepts. And some musicians learn through sound primarily, and some musicians learn through system primarily. Hopefully we will all get better at both of them, but through the years. This is Ionian mode, and there's 12 tones in the chromatic scale, but when we're dealing with a system of, like a key, we're talking about typically seven different tones. And in the key of C, we're dealing with just the musical alphabet as straightforward as it can be. If we were talking about its relative minor, we would spell that A, B, C, D, E, F, G. How simple is that? But we're talking about the major key here. So we're going to start on C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. C being your 1, D being your 2, and I've put these Roman numerals here. Some people call this the Nashville number system. And this is, I basically want you to pause and just study the chart more than listening to me, because this chart is it's got about 16 different things I think you could really study about. But first of all, if you want to spell a triad, let's get really basic right off the bat. If you want to spell a C major triad, you skip this second and you go to this third, and you have your major third. That's your second chord tone in your C major triad. The most basic form of a chord is a triad. It's a 3-note chord. Well, there's dyads too, but whatever. Then you skip the F and you have a G, and that's your 5. That's your 5th. So you have a C, E, and G. That's how you spell a C major triad. It's going to say, if you hit that on a piano or on a guitar, if you play C, E, and G, you're going to have the sound of C major. Now your second chord in the key of C, it has a D and an F and an A. That's how you spell a D minor triad. And this lowercase number up here represents that this 2 chord in the major key is always minor. The 3 chord is always minor. The 4 and the 5 are major, and the 6 is minor. And it's also very important. That's one that you need to be familiar with because it is your relative minor key. It utilizes the same notes. And I could very easily draw this chart up with the A as the 1, and then in which case in a minor key the 2 chord is the diminished chord, which is what I'm about to talk about, as your 7 chord in the major key. B is a diminished chord in the key of C major because how it's spelled is C, D, and F. B, D, and F. Now a B major chord is typically B, D sharp, and F sharp, but we've lowered the 5 and the 3, making it a diminished chord. It's your ugly jazzy chord, however you want to look at it. It's the chord that must be resolved and isn't used too often. It is used in like jazz and metal. Funny that I grouped those two styles together, but it's used in a lot of those styles. It is used in rock and country and things of that nature, but not as often. Typically in rock country styles, you're going to use 1, 4s, 5s, some 6s, maybe some 2s, the 3 chords in there sometimes, but really, and a lot of times people have difficulty in sound differentiating between a 3 chord and a 6 chord, oddly enough. Sometimes they have similar sounds and colors in a key, but it's easy to get them mixed up. It's easy to get certain sounds mixed up throughout the years. You kind of learn to become more accurate in your predictions. And when I was talking about triads, I wanted to point out that this D, F, A that spells your D minor triad, I wrote out the key of D major here. These are the chords represented in D major. But if I'm talking about just notes and triads, we have a D, F sharp, A, and that's your D major triad. Well, the only thing that's happening to make this a D minor triad is that that F is not sharp. It's lower by a half step than that F sharp. If I wanted to make, for instance, this a C minor triad, I would just make that an E flat, and then I would have C, E flat, and G, and it would sound like a C minor chord. Anyway, this right here is just basically an introduction to a series of 20 or 30 charts that I've made up that deal with a concept that may help you in songwriting and things of that nature. That's actually primarily the goal of these series, musical math, the science of sound. It's not just to solve some of the mysteries of music and try to get better at associating and learning how to use your ear and your brain and engage all of your faculties into making beautiful music, but it's also just primarily to sort of give a little insight into trying to create a song, and there are typical things that happen, and you want to learn to do the things that are typical before you break those rules, before you draw outside the lines, so to speak, musically. It's important to kind of get these basic systems into your mind and get them under control. So this has been my very first concept video, and I hope it helps somebody out there, and if it does, please give me a little comment. I'll try to answer any questions if you have them. Other than that, thank you very much, and I hope to make several more videos, very short videos. I'm hoping to keep the majority of them under, not a whole lot of this, but about 3 minutes long. I'm just going to show the chart, explain 3 concepts per video, and I'll get hopefully I'll get some responses and get some knowledge out there into the world of YouTube. Thank you very much.